All right, so I'm going to speak on freedom from stress. Um, this was, I had a hard time condensing this because there's just so much information on stress um, that we don't need in our lives. Let's put it that way. If you look at the world today, there are so many people stressed out and having what we call mental health issues. People are now going to psychiatrists, they're being put on medications to control mental stress. They're missing time from work, they're missing time with family, they're missing time with friends. Why? What's changed? It's Satan's way of keeping your mind off of God and the solution to your problem. So when you realize what's really going on behind that stress, then let me show you how to fix it. Satan's job is to keep us so busy worrying, stressed, anxious, depressed, and not focused on God, not focused on worship, prayers, on our scriptures, and one of the most important things, not changing people's lives, because you're living a stress-filled life just like everybody else. So where is God in your life? You know he's there, you can feel him, but if we're walking in stress and all these issues, people aren't seeing him. So I'm going to give you the definition. Oh wow. Definition of stress. It's a state of worry or mental tension caused by difficult and demanding situations. It is a natural human response that prompts us to address challenges and threats in our lives. Stress can also be understood as the body's reaction to anything that requires attention or action, and it can lead to various physical, emotional, behavioral responses. Everyone experience, everyone experiences stress to some degree, and managing it effectively is crucial for our overall well-being. So I'm going to give you some side effects to stress. Physically, aches and pains, chest pains, feeling like your heart is racing, like you're going to have a heart attack, exhaustion, trouble sleeping, headaches, dizziness, shaking, causes high blood pressure, muscle tension, jaw clenching, stomach or digestive problems, loss of hair. Chronic stress may worsen any pre-existing health problems and exacerbate your mental condition. Does that sound familiar to anybody? Now, here's the psychological effects of stress: anxiety, irritability, depression, panic attacks, sadness, difficulty concentrating, forgetfulness, constant worrying, feelings of being so overwhelmed you can't grasp your life. So, does that sound like God anywhere in that description? No. Bear with me. I don't see God in physical or mental stress at all. So how do we solve this problem? What do we need to do to get rid of stress? How can we stay healthy and not have these issues? So I'm going to go to Matthew 11:28 through 30. New International Version says, "Take my yoke," which is God's yoke, "and learn from him, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest in your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." I also want to read the Message Bible. Are you tired, worn out, burned out on religion? Come to God. Get away with me and you'll recover your life. I'll show you how to take a real rest. Walk with me and work with me and watch how I do it. Learn the unforced rhythms of grace. I won't lay anything heavy or ill-fitting on you. Keep company with me and you'll learn to live freely and lightly. All I could say on that, I got a big, wow, okay. God never meant for us to take on the stress that we put on ourselves. So here's the opposite of stress from God's point of view: relaxed, calm, peace, tranquility, comfort, you're unwound, content, composure, harmony, relief, laid back security, rest, joy. It's slowness, like a slowness of pace, peacefulness, optimistic, freedom. Now that sounds like God. So what Satan is trying to do, he's trying to keep us so busy that we don't have time to spend with him, or get in our word. Everything's just focused on, I got to do this, I got to do this, I got to do this. It's like we're in this fast society that everything has to be done in now. Look at your fast food restaurants. Look at your Amazon. You just push a button and they deliver it to your door. I mean, everything is like instant. I want it instant. Well, that's not how it was made. So how are we going to walk this out? All right, so I'm going to start with the home life, and then I'm also going to do the work life. I couldn't do all the rest because I don't think I have enough time for the rest. So in your home life, what I suggest is sit down with your family, take inventory of everything that you're doing. What's causing the stress in the marriage between parents? What's causing stress between parents and children? And what can you do to fix this? So I'm going to give you an example. We go to a lot of conferences, so needless to say, there's a lot of women in my industry. So I hear a lot of complaining about parents complaining how they have to take their children to baseball practice, football practice, dance practice, cheerleading, and so on and so on. Some of these children, I don't even know how they're surviving because they're in all these activities. So have you ever stopped at these events? I know a lot of us don't have smaller children, but have you gone to them and taken a look at the parents and the children at these sporting places, like, little league baseball? I started looking around when my grandsons were little. I used to go to their little baseball games, and I would look around and I was like, these people look stressed. They're not even relaxed, enjoying watching their children play the game. So my son, he enrolled his two boys into baseball. They were about 7, 9 years old when they started. My older grandson, he's a social butterfly. He was not into the game. He was into talking to the referee because he played third base. And it was all about, hey, how's your day going? He didn't want to be there. Now, my younger grandson, the 7-year-old, he totally opposite. He was the catcher. And he was into the game, had his hand on his knees. I mean, you could tell that this was what he wanted to do. So what I'm getting at is you had two children here. One wanted to be in the sport. The other one could care less. So take inventory, parents. Are you the one making the child go to these sports? I don't have anything against these sports. I think they're great for children to learn how to do sports and, dance and all these different things. But is it what you want? Or is it what you're expected to do? Is it what your grandparents want them to do? Or is it what the child wants to do? So sit with your children, ask them, what would you like to do? Because think about it. If your child has baseball practice on Monday, football practice on Tuesday, choir practice on Wednesday, church on Thursday, and then Friday is the games and Saturday's the games, where does the child get any rest? Where does the parent get any rest? I see, moms running kids all over here. If you got more than 2 or 3, then you got dads running them over here. Do you see the chaos? It's total, there's a lot of stress. So step back and ask yourselves these questions. Does my child really want to be here? Is my child learning anything by even being in this game? Is it something he wants to do, and what is he learning from it? Why did you sign your child up for the sport? How is it affecting your lives? Are you stressed out with the schedule and finding it difficult to get children where they need to be? Do you really need to be doing all of this? And again, there's nothing wrong with these outside sports, but I think we need to pull back and not have children in 4 or 5 different things in a week, because children have to go to school. Anyway, you're just creating a lot of stress by, all this going on. So what I recommend is focus on the love language. If you've not read the 5 love languages, I recommend that you highly get that book. It will teach you a lot of things that I never knew. Maybe your child wants to bake. Look into a baking class, pull them out of the sports. Maybe that's not what he wants to do. Or maybe they want to do art. Or maybe they want to work with animals. Or they're computer whiz. I know my younger grandson, he's really into computers and stuff, and we're trying to encourage him to take a class so he can have a career in this. He's not doing baseball anymore, by the way. But you get the idea. It's like, sit down with your children and have a nice long talk with your children. And, what do they want to do? What's not going to create total chaos and stress? Not to mention your bank account. I know these classes and stuff, you have to buy the uniforms, and the equipment, and, just take an overall inventory of everything that's going on. That's good. Yeah. Parents, ask yourself the following questions. So even if you have children, these are good questions to ask. Or if you are an empty nester, I'm an empty nester. What activities are bringing you stress? Are you, in church 4 days a week? How's that honoring God? If you're so stressed out, nothing wrong with going to church. But 4 days a week, that can create a lot of stress between a husband and a wife. It's like there's no time for each other. How is it affecting your marriage relationship? Or if you're single, how is it affecting your relationship with your children? So write it all out, determine what your love is, and not what you feel you should be doing. Learn, Pastor Marvin talks about this all the time, learn how to say no on things you have no interest in doing. And then pray, Lord, what would you have me do? Write out everything you like to do and say, Lord, I need your input. What are the most important things? Because I know a lot of places have all these different things for you to do, but is that something God really wants you in? So make your life simple, not hard. So we need to find a balance in our life where we do not put ourselves in stressful situations, because a lot of times we cause our own stress, to be honest. A lot of us do not have children. I already said that. So that takes care of the outside activity. So let's look at the inside activities in your home. You've got chores. The house has got to be cleaned. The dinner's got to be cooked, etc. So write down everything that needs to be done every day, every week, and sit down as a family, decide how to spread it out amongst the family, because there's no reason why the children should not be helping you out. Doesn't matter what age. They can be 2, 3, 4 years old, or 16, 17, 18. Don't leave it all up to the mom or the dad to do all the work. That everybody's living in that house. Everybody's contributing to what is going on in that house. Prioritize your tasks. Set realistic goals that don't stress you out or anybody else. Make sure that the task is age appropriate. You don't want a 4-year-old cleaning a toilet, because it personally is not going to get cleaned that well. But they can pick up their toys. They can also help pick up stuff, maybe some clothes that are sitting or that are laying on the floor. They can do little things like that. So make sure it's age appropriate. Consider energy levels and work preferences. What do you or your child like to do, and map it out? I mean, in my family, there's 6 of us. I'm the oldest. So when we have our gatherings like Thanksgiving, I'm the dishwasher person. I can't stand drying. I can't stand putting stuff away. But you give me some water and some dish soap, I'll wash your dishes for you. And it's funny because it's been that way as long as I can remember. We did have chores. We did have to learn all the categories. But that was my main, I did really good at washing dishes. Okay. When you go on vacation, or you're moving into another home, those are 2 stressful things before and after. So how can you avoid the stress? Write out everything that needs to be done before you even start packing. So what do you need to bring? What are you going to wear? Like if you're going to like a beach function, you need a bathing suit, you need a tunic for your bathing suit, rafts, just stuff like that. Make a list of what you will do. Use the list. I'm going to give you an example. My husband and I moved a year ago to Plant City, and he was extremely stressed. And I said, honey, I got it under control. So he goes, you just tell me what I need to do. So I did. I wrote Monday. I sat there, Monday, here's Monday's list. I need you to do this, this, and this. Tuesday, I did Monday through Friday. So he took off work for that week, and every day he had a little something to do. But I didn't give him a whole lot to where he was overwhelmed. And he's like, this is cool. I was trying to make it as easy as possible. So that way he did all the, I hate to call them chores because it's not really what it was. It was just we needed to finish packing. And there were certain things that had to be done before we moved. And Friday was our move-in day. So we went and got our truck early. I hired a couple of guys to help us load up the truck, and everything got done before we went and signed the paperwork. Got the paperwork, went to the house, unloaded the truck. Truck was turned in the next morning. Smooth, perfect. Although my husband, I will tell on him. He went back to the apartment to clean it. You know, you have to do a scrub down. He forgot his keys and the phone. And so he was stuck in the apartment all night. And I'm at home and I'm like, where is my husband? You know, I had to turn the truck in. So I had to call my daughter to come get me. At the where I turned my truck in. So we went back to the apartment and I'm like, where are you? Where are you? He forgot his phone and his keys. He couldn't go anywhere. So I said, the poor guy had to sleep on the floor. But anyways, for the most part, it was very organized and structured. So another thing that I see people do is they wait till the last minute. I have a sister, mom and I both, my mom's, yeah, we know who it is. She waits till the morning we're leaving on vacation to do her packing. It stresses me out just even thinking about it. I have a trip coming up in August 11th. I've already packed. I've already packed in my mind. People tease me all the time because I am just one of those, I have to be prepared. Like when we went to Ireland and Scotland with my friend, 6 months ahead of time, I had my list completely written out. And my friend that I was going with, I texted her, I'm like, here's the list. And she was like, oh God, thank you. But that's what I did. I had it all laid out. And as I was working and thinking about my trip, oh yeah, I got to bring that. I added it to the list, When you know you're going, that's when you need to start your list. Procrastination is not your friend. Yeah. Hope my husband's not watching this. He's a procrastinator. So I have to encourage him. Anyways, but that's just some things for families to get together and to do. Work life. What can we do to avoid stress, anxiety, depression, etc. at work? And not break down and quit. And not break down in tears because you just can't get the work done. So I'm at Philippians 4:6-7. Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your mind in Christ Jesus. Matthew 11:28-30, New International. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. I just had to read it again because I like that verse. John 14:27, peace I leave you, my peace I give you. Not as the world gives, do I give to you. Let not your hearts be troubled, neither let them be afraid. Proverbs 3:5-6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make straight your paths. I've been in the same business that I have worked in for the past 42 years. It is an extremely stressful position. So I have learned a lot on how to control stress and anxiety and not to have panic attacks. And I'm not saying you're never going to have stress. Stress is going to hit you every day. It just depends on the level. It basically stresses problems, you know. When you feel that stress, panic, anxiety attack coming on you, stop what you're doing. And I know what you're thinking. Are you nuts? I got all this work to do. I can't just stop. Stop what you're doing, because all you're doing is you're having a panic attack, and that's just making you more stressed. So ask yourself a couple of questions. What can you do to fix it, to stop all this stress? And do you have control of the situation? No, you don't have control over the situation. You're stressed out. So I'm telling you to stop. In this case, ask yourself, who's in charge right now? Is God in charge of this situation, this stressful situation? Or are you trying to control the situation? And see, that's what Satan wants. He wants you to be so stressed out that you're not going to God to get the answer to fix this problem. So you're relying on yourself to fix the problem, and you're not allowing God to direct you. So here's a quick way to relieve yourself from stress. Bishop Lana taught on this. It's called the 10-minute solution. She taught on this years and years and years ago. And I started applying it, and I was amazed at how peaceful my stressful day could be. Think about the next 10 minutes. We're here in the congregation. Think about, what can I do in the next 10 minutes of my life and the outcome? And when I started looking at 10 minutes, I'm thinking, well, I could do this, I could do that, and focus on, I'll give you an example. I like to give examples of what I go through so that way you know. I handle, about 850, 860 files. That's what I oversee. They're not my files. I mean, I'm the supervisor over these files. So it's expected of me to be in them and directing my adjusters on what they need to do and stuff. So we have deadlines. And I mean, these deadlines create financial issues. If you don't do this, it can cost you $10,000, $13,000 in attorney fees for not complying with this, not doing this. So when I say it's stressful, we have time constraints. So say you have 30 files. And you only have 4 hours left in your day. Well, those 30 files, everything has to be done. So that's when the anxiety starts creeping in, panic starts creeping in. Yeah. That's when I stop. A lot of times I'll just get up and just walk away, and I'm like, okay, God, help me get through this. So I'm like, what can I do in 10 minutes? Okay, let me pick up my first file. Okay, it needs this, this, and this. I said, okay, well, these two can wait till tomorrow, but this one can be done right now. See where my mind's at? It's like, okay, I'm solving the problem, and I'm no longer stressed because I'm like, okay, this is my first file. In 10 minutes, I can get this one thing done, put the notes in, move on to my next file, or set a task to complete the other two on another day. Now I have 29 files. And that one file only took me 2 minutes to look at it, drop in a note, do a task. I'm like, this is cool. I have been amazed by the fact that I only took 10 minutes to be in control of, and the amount of work that I was getting done within the 4 hours, I had everything finished. Mind you, there were still some tasks that needed to be done, but they weren't due this day. So I didn't have to do it this day. I could move on. But I stepped away, took my eyes off of the problem, went to God. What can I do in the next 10 minutes? What can I do here, Lord? And he would just show me. And supernaturally, it was all done.
That's good.
Does it happen every time? No, there are times that I don't get certain things done. But for the most part, it helps. Just by applying this principle to my work, I don't want to say I don't panic all the time, because I do. There are times that I do get up and I just have to walk away from the issue. Every day before I go to work, my prayer is, Lord, I thank you for the supernatural ability to get everything done on my desk in a timely manner. And by doing it all these years and years and years, God answers my prayers. One phone call could take me 4 hours to work, literally. Because we have some scenarios that come up where it's like, you got to drop everything and do it. That means those other files are just going to have to wait because this is an urgent matter. But I still, for the most part, usually around 1:30, I'm pretty much done all the urgent issues because, and I wish I had more time to share with you how I structure my day. That'll be another teaching for another time. But I've learned how to structure my day and do all the most important things in the morning that have to be done, how to prioritize your day. So conclusion, Matthew 6:25 through 34, Luke 12:30 or 24 through 34. If God takes care of the birds or of the air and the animals, why wouldn't he take care of us and our our problems that come at us every day? Seek ye first the kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. Do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own. So the questions ask yourself every day: do I have control over the situation? What can I do to fix the situation? What's the worst thing that could happen if it doesn't get done? Am I allowing God to be in control over this, or am I taking it upon myself? Now, I'm going to give you, I have a few more minutes. I'm going to give you a worst case scenario that happened to me, but I was prepared for this. 20 years ago, in December of 2025, or 2020, I can even tell you the day. I walked into my work. It was a Monday. I worked the entire day. My supervisor came over to my desk. It was around 3:15. She said, "The big boss wants to see you." I'm like, okay. And I'm looking at my supervisor's face, and I was like, okay, something's not right here. And I remember I was praying going into the office, and I get into the office, and there's our HR person, the big boss, my supervisor, and myself. Sat down, and they have the corporate HR person on the phone. And I was informed that I got fired. 20 years in the same position. I was in shock. I'd never been written up. I'd never been called into offices before. I had perfect attendance, perfect work. My scores were 90s, high 90s, hundreds. And I'm like, what? I don't even really remember the conversation. I just was like, I was in shock. I had to go to my desk, pack it up, and my supervisor actually had to walk me to, because I was working downtown Tampa, she had to walk me to my car, which is 5 blocks away. She's crying, and I'm consoling her. I kept going, it's okay. It's okay. I'm going to do fine. I'm okay. I remember getting in my car, and I didn't start driving off because I wanted to call one of my really good friends. I said, look, I don't want you to hear this because it's fixing to come out in the office. And I told her what happened. She started having a panic attack. I'm like, I'm okay. Don't worry about me. And I remember I called Bishop Lonnie and Pastor Lonnie, or Bishop Lana and Pastor Lonnie. I said, can I meet you at the office? I just got fired. I need a hug. I cried. I started up my car and I cried the entire way home. I wasn't really crying because I lost my job. I was crying because it was a death to me. 20 years of my heart and soul was in this job. And I got there, and they gave me the hugs and everything, but I didn't dwell on the fact that I got fired because I had already prepared for it. And they're like, what do you mean you prepared for it? One of the scenarios that I always run through my head is when I'm laying in bed at night, a lot of times, you know how your mind just doesn't settle down? And I was like, there was this one time, I don't remember when it was, but it was before I got fired. And I remember laying there, and I could feel this like panic attack, anxiety attack, whatever, creeping up. Well, what if you lose your job? What if you lose your job? And I was like, oh God, what, and I started to panic. I'm like, wait a minute. I've never been written up or anything. So I'm like, okay, Lord, what's the worst case scenario? I lose my job. What would happen? Well, if I can't find another job, then, I might lose my house. I might lose my car. But I got a tent. I can go camping. I can park in a campground. I have family that I could go live with, but I was thinking from the standpoint of somebody who didn't have any family. I was like, well, what if my family's all in a different area and they're not here? I wanted worst case scenario. I'd live in a tent. And all of a sudden, this peace just came over me, and I went, well, that's not so bad. Granted, Florida's not a good place to be sleeping in a tent in August, but I was like, I'm still alive. I still love God. I have church family. I have, people I can go to. And I'm like, well, that's not too bad. So when I got fired on this day, it wasn't too bad because I had already thought way ahead of time. Like I said, I don't know if it was a year or two before it happened. I don't know if God was just preparing me because he knew it was coming. I'm not going to go into the details as to why I got fired. There were 4 of us that got fired. There were some loopholes, legality stuff that went on. And the funny part is, this is how God works. That Tuesday morning, I was out, temp agency, filled out all the paperwork, had an interview Wednesday, interview Thursday. The interview I did Wednesday, I had like 7 or 8 people, all supervisors for this company. They're all on this side and I'm on this side, and I'm looking at them like, I wasn't even nervous. I had such a peace about me. It's like, well, I don't care if you hire me or not, because if this ain't the place I'm supposed to be, then I'm just here, doing my interview. And these people brought up the fact that I got fired. It just was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to say now? Because I'm like, I wasn't going to tell them I got fired because, that was the day before. And there are 2 days before. And they're just like, I can't believe the company did this. It was all over the industry. How bad of a company that they fired these 4 people for these. There were some stupid reasons. Again, I won't go into detail. And so here we are having this discussion, and they're just bashing the company. I didn't say nothing. I was like, well, but I do need a job. And I was so at peace at this company. It felt like home, like family. And they're selling me the company. Well, you're going to like working here. You're going to like blah, 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 blah. And I'm just sitting there like, okay. And they're like, don't accept any offers until you hear from us. And I'm thinking in my brain, I'm like, I have a 16-year-old at home. I just bought a brand new townhome. I only been in it a month and I got fired. I was like, I need a job. So it just depends on what God says as to whether, I'm going to take this, here, wait for you or not. So we ended the day. The next day I went to the next company. I was like, yeah, there's no way I'm working there. There's no way. But within 24 hours, I had a job. I got a raise. And then the company that fired me, I still had 8 days vacation, so I didn't lose any salary. I was fired on Monday, started at the new job on the following Monday. And it's with the company I'm with now, and December will be 20 years. So that's what I'm saying. I looked at the worst case scenario. Granted, that's a stressful situation. You just bought a townhome. You have a 16-year-old daughter living at home. As a matter of fact, she had lost her father earlier that year. It was March. She had lost her father. So I was dealing with that. And it was like the enemy's just throwing one thing after another. But I had already been there. It was like, what's the worst case scenario? What if I lose my car? What's the worst case scenario? Take a bus. So just kind of analyze, what's the worst case scenario that could happen to you? And figure, how would you resolve that problem? So if it ever happens, you've already got the solution to the problem. So again, you're going to have problems. They are going to come at you, but it's all in how you react to that. As to the stress level, the anxiety, depression, yeah. And that's all I have.
That's great.
Thank you.